Okay, welcome. I know we're running a few minutes late, but sometimes things happen. Part of what happens is when you have a lot of extra people, and that's wonderful. We're glad to have you. Now, Brielle may not want me to be saying that right now. Virginia, I'm not going to have enough handouts, blah, blah, blah. So, Brielle did ask. Brielle is my assistant who does an amazing job. And so she asked me, she said, please ask people to pre-register so she will have enough material. So I got that word out, but nevertheless, we're glad you're here. I know some of you said you had friends who could not come or who would register. Could you pick up their materials? We're running short right now, so we'll ask that you wait. We will be glad to get them to you. We'll just check with you afterwards about that. So. Just a little housekeeping matter there, but we're delighted to have this many people here. For those of you who I've not met, I'm Virginia Lazenby. I'm the founder and host of these seminars. I'm a certified senior housing professional and realtor and downsizing coach. And a passion of mine is working with seniors when we're making this transition of downsizing. So we started the seminars 7 years ago. With the goal of information. As I was working with seniors, planning for or going through this transition, I just realized a lot of times we didn't have information, and it was hard to plan when you didn't have information. And so we put together the seminars. We say our goal is to educate, equip, and inspire seniors to make informed choices and empowered decisions. We've got a lot of life to live. We want people to live it to their fullest, and we want to support you in however we can. So that's what the seminars are about. And we have educational partners who join with us in supporting the seminars. And they're invited to, Victor, there's some seats over here. Invited to have them here to visit with you afterwards. We always say, this is information, it's not marketing, but when you want to get more information, we have our tables set up today, and you'll hear some more about these groups as we go on in some cases. North Star, Georgetown, which is a 55 plus apartment community out off Westinghouse Road. Brian is representing North Star. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. And if you want to hear a wonderful accent from New Zealand, stop by and visit with Brian. Next we have Visiting Angels. Stacy, stand up. Many of you know Stacy Scarborough. When we are in need of home care, a great place to turn to. You say, well, I don't need it right now. That's fine. I'm glad you don't. But things can change very quickly, and it's nice to know what resources are there. We appreciate the support of Visiting Angels. We have Christy Schuler from Wesleyan. Of course, they cover a wide range from, many of you are familiar with their communities, independent living, assisted living, memory care, rehab, and then else, what?
Skilled nursing
Skilled nursing.
Health and hospice.
And you have hospice, and you have home care, and you have home health care. And I guess I have to give a personal testimonial. Some of you heard some of my summer's adventures with my husband, his back surgery, and we've taken advantages of the services of home health. We were able to skip to home care. Stacy met with us and had us all set up, but then we did have home care for physical therapy and occupational therapy. And for those of you who were here last month, when I was talking about the challenges of benefits and need to make sure we have an advocate and a spokesperson for us, and was telling our story with insurance with Don, and many of you said, so how's he doing? He's here today, and so glad to, who was it was telling me at this age, it's a matter of patching and going on. You're trying to solve one problem and then you become aware of another problem. And so I thought that's a pretty good description, Eric. Okay, so let's see, we also have, Vera Bank, Will Boughton is Vera Bank is their asset management, financial planning. He could not be here today due to a conflict, but I know many of you visited with him. So after the panel, not a panel today, I'm so used to saying panel, but we'll explain that in a minute. We encourage you to visit with our educational partners. We all are here to provide education and information for you. So we thank you all very much. Two other thank yous. I really appreciate Jeff Cramp, our tech person, who kind of came into this by default. And I think tech people are very brave when you have this isn't connecting today. So you saw a little scuttling around anyway. So we are up and running, so I'm glad for that. And Jeff works with me on marketing the website, so we appreciate his support. And you met Brielle, who's probably trying to recover from juggling extra people coming in, an amazing assistant, and much more than that. So that's a little bit of background about us. And we're going to move into our topic for those of you who are new to us. In fact, let's see, how many of you, if this is your first time to attend a seminar, raise your hand. Good. So, like in church, when we say, okay, be sure to welcome our visitors. So we have some people who have been here, let's see, I'm not sure, well, I know I'm 7 years. Well, let's see, I'm not sure if I see any of, that's right. We have people who've been with us off and on as topics and schedules allow for 7 years. And then we have some of you, I loved it this morning, a couple said, we've been following you during COVID virtually. One of the good things of COVID was we got, going with Zoom that you can love or hate. But it did allow us to continue and to reach out to people. So there's some, I know there's at least one couple you said you had watched on COVID. You had watched on Zoom, but this is your first time to attend. There you are. So we're glad you got to attend the live seminar. It was really funny after 3.5 years or so live seminars, a year and a half more or less of virtual, and then we started again this January. It was like, yeah, we're kind of starting over, and it was interesting, but we built a great community. And I think one of the neatest things about these is as people form relationships, and we're going to be sharing with you a couple of other opportunities today to continue learning and forming relationships with people that, as we plan for perhaps someday downsizing. Okay, so we got our sponsor. Oh, and I forgot the other sponsor, me. Seniors Living Smarter Services is our downsizing business. And through that, we offer comprehensive downsizing. I am a realtor. Seniors Living Smarter is for my real estate. But I saw the need. And how do we help people with the move management, the actual move, with the liquidation, with the setting up in the new apartment, getting your house ready to sell. So we have that business as a separate business and have a table, and I'll be glad to visit with you about that too. I think I got all the sponsors. Okay, good. So I added a little bonus section today. I know real estate is a hot topic right now, and a lot of times there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of craziness going on about it. Crazy is kind of the real estate market. Many of you, if you follow this or involved with people, last year, up until maybe June or sometime a year ago now, last January, this is crazy. It's just moving too fast. Prices are just going up ridiculously high. Come on, you can't keep, and people were going crazy. Buyers were under pressure. Got to make a decision today because I know we're going to be in a bidding competition, and you cannot sustain that. That's not good in a variety of ways. So we're in a period of stabilization. And I know prices are going down, down, down. But they were artificially inflated. And it was still above where we were last year at this time. So we've got to put things in perspective. But I love this. I'm part of a coaching program with Brian Ruffini, who is just an amazing real estate coach, mentor, and motivational speaker. And in a podcast last week, I love the title, The State, actually the real state of real estate. You know, that's pretty clever. So we're not talking about specific markets right now, but I want to give you a little context for this. Right now, we're really in a bear market. And we're talking about the decline in volume. I'm not talking about prices right now, but as they describe the bear market, that it's 20% decline, and that's right where we are in volume. Does it mean panic? No. It just means we just need to be aware of this. And so as we think about, as a realtor, when I'm working with people, we always want to educate so that we know. And I know it's hard in some situations when you had friends who had their houses on the market last spring or, the year before. The feeling was, put your house on the market on a Thursday and had multiple contracts by Tuesday. And it often happened. And it often happened that they were much higher. And truth be said, that's not the market today. It's calmer, and it needs to be. It's very much a stabilizing. So we just have to plan ahead to know it's going to take a little longer. We also have to look very carefully when pricing homes. So if any of you are looking to be selling, coming up sometime soon, we used to, when we would do a market analysis, look for what are the sales for the last 90 days, or even 6 months, to come up with a price. Those prices are so different. We now just need at the last 30 days, so it's changing. And I know we hear all kinds of rumors from people of what's happening, but houses are selling. It may take longer. We have to price. We have plenty of seats over here.
Thank you.
We have to price strategically, and that's very, very important. It also, and I think, when the market is the way it was, just put a clean house out there because it's going to go in just a few days. Now we're back to how do we be the shiny penny on the block, and Debbie Brockway works with our group for property prep, and how much do I need to do to prepare my house for the market? We're going to have a seminar about that in 2023. But I'm just saying, given the state of the current market, sometimes we really have to look carefully at the condition and how we present the product, our house. So that was just a little bonus section today. So now we're going to be talking about our topic. Interesting background on this. Are these bottles open?
Right.
I got to give you a little context for this topic. As we meet in the fall and talk about our topics for the coming year, and then refine the titles as we go on. But last fall, when we were planning our 2022 seminars, we knew we wanted to do something about the senior living options. Well, the options, but more the process. It was so overwhelming. And at that time, she's not in here. Okay. Talk about Brielle. Okay. At that time, her son was a sophomore in high school. And, Brielle, perfect timing. I'm talking about how we came up with the name of this seminar. Brielle was sharing with me that they were just being completely inundated, by marketing materials, phone calls. And because when you've got a high-achieving son, very talented, outstanding band percussionist, and talents go on, a lot of colleges and universities are out to recruit him. And I have to say, including my alma mater, I was so pleased when she told me Austin College of Sherman, Texas, a small liberal arts college north of Dallas, where I graduated from, and then went back to be on the faculty for 15 years, so that I was glad Austin College had reached out to him and could be put into that consideration. I told her this morning I was going to say this, and she said, "Those ruse." We are the kangaroos. She said, and they are out to get So, anyways, we talked about that. She said, we just feel like, we got to set priorities. We've got to encourage Nathan what's important. How, as a family, do we make these decisions? It's overwhelming. Seems like what I hear seniors saying, it's what are our priorities? How do we navigate through all this? And the more we talked about it, we came on navigation. There we go. That's what we need for the topic for this seminar. So that's what we will be talking about and trying to help you figure out clear sailing ahead. So, you gotta bring some fun in sometime. So, if you're sailing, what do you need? You need a captain. So I am going to be your captain today as we hopefully learn some tools.
Gave her a hat. Get your hat on, not just.
I know. He's probably going to put it on crooked or some strings. Okay, we'll see if this works. Okay, so I'm going to be your captain today to help you with hopefully some tools, some resources, some opportunities to make our way through this. And as a captain should share their credentials. Why are you appropriate for this role today? And do I speak up?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. So we are, if you can't hear, let me know. Briefly, yes, I am a realtor and I have a specialist in serving seniors. And in addition to that, there's a certification through our National Association of Realtors. I had that, but I went on for more extended work through the Senior Real Estate Institute to become a certified senior housing professional and a certified senior downsizing coach. I have a lot of experience in working with communities and services that provide seniors that try to ease through this. And most importantly, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of wonderful seniors making this transition. From, selling their homes, transitioning into a community. How do we make this all work as smoothly as possible? So we're going to share some things from that experience today, and I think you can benefit from it, I hope. And we've organized this in the 5 W's and the H. How many of you remember from junior high or somewhere learning the 5 W's and the H? So how to do research or how to explore something. This just kept going through my mind. So that's our organizational framework today. So where do we start? Who should be making plans regarding senior living options? All seniors. Even those of you who say, I'm never moving to a senior community. That's fine, but you may have a neighbor who wants information, and you can collect information for your neighbor or your friend. But, with the influx of our baby boomers and all this has changed so much in our society. And often people aren't aware. You kind of have it too. Yeah, my grandmother was in one of those nursing homes, not going there. Well, yes, we do have skilled nursing facilities, and yes, there is the purpose for that in place. But there are lots of other things, and we sometimes miss out on them when we don't know the options. And so that's what we want for you to have information. You may be looking to move right away. We're going to be talking about why and so on in a minute. Or you may just say, well, I'm not going for a long time, but I want to know what's out there. And I celebrate you for being here today. It was funny driving in this morning. I heard on the radio someone talking about this pickleball being such a big deal at these senior homes. And I'm going, let's try a different word. It may be, but Big deal in senior communities. I know how many of you are in Sun City play pickleball or play pickleball at the, I see some of you with your Tennessee fans, or at the rec center play pickleball, so we know it is a big deal. But here's a little clue for you. Homes, okay, maybe for skilled nursing. We're really talking about communities. And we hear the word, the people that know me well are going to chuckle. You know what I'm going to say, Cornelia? Not facilities. I started to add a slide with the word facilities with the line through it. Communities. When you think about it, the baggage the word facilities brings with it, these are communities rich in activities, and so I always, we chuckle about that word, and for some of us it becomes a joke if someone slips and says the words facility. Yeah. And they get corrected. So if that happens, just know it's okay. So let's take a minute to look at what are our options for senior living. Some of you know a lot of these, but sometimes we have misunderstandings. Oh, and that reminds me, yes, I forgot to introduce your binder. Oh, I'm sorry, dear. In your binder, which is so neatly put together by Brielle, and then each month you get the color divider page for this month. So this month we have your materials for clear saving ahead, and you have if you have a place here, your questions, if you'll save them, write them down here and ask them at the end. We have action steps. We'll come back and talk more about this. And then we have a chart in your packet that talks about the different kinds of senior living options. And so this is the page if some of you want to look at that. We've seen a real increase or the emergence of a new type of community. I mean, they've been here, but now they're becoming much more popular. You probably get a lot of postcards from some of these. The new, I call it the kind of new kid on the block, would be our active adult 55 plus apartments and condos. Now, several of you live in Sun City, where we have home ownership or rental, and we're individual homes. When we talk about downsizing, we're talking generally about reducing some of that maintenance and the responsibility of a home. And so we've had independent living. We're going to be talking about that in a minute. But what we see is kind of, I call it the new kid on the block. I hope Brian's okay with that. Are our active adult communities. So they are apartments or condos focused on seniors, okay? And they do not offer meal plans. They don't offer transportation. But for people who say, I want a smaller place, I want to live with seniors, I want there to be senior activities, the 55 plus apartments active lifestyle can be a great opportunity for you. And what I've seen too is we've been having more and more of these apartments that at first it seemed like they had senior activity type things going on, but not necessarily a full-time activity director there. It was more resident-led. But we're seeing much more now with activity directors. So, it's interesting to see how these things develop, how they evolve. And in fact, so North Star happens to be one of our partners, and they are a representative of what's like other 55 plus apartments in the area. In Round Rock, there's several. Amberlin will be opening in the winter. We have Affinity Overture, several overtures, and there are others in the area. So some people say, I don't want a meal plan. Okay, you might want to consider the senior living options. Active adult communities. A lot of us have heard the term independent living communities, and the hallmark of an independent living community is there is a meal plan, there is transportation available. It doesn't mean that you're beck and call every minute, but there's some type of, it varies, but to take you to the store or the hospital or hair appointments or whatever. So meals for sure, transportation and light housekeeping, and a variety of amenities and activities. These are not licensed, so it's not, they're not eliminating somebody because they're on a walker or anything. Because Wesleyan has all levels. And so, but with independent living, you have to be, some communities it's 55, some it's 60. You're 55, aren't you, at Wesleyan?
We're 62.
62, okay. That wasn't the option I gave, but that's all right. And that's really good because they have a waiting list anyway, which is another thing to consider. But when looking at independent living communities, what stands out in my mind is thinking about what is it they really offer. And the meal plans become a big differentiation, I think. There is some type of a meal plan. In some communities, it's 3 meals a day, even at set times. Others, it is 1 meal, or sometimes there's an option of 2 meals, depending on the contract. And so there are variations, but there is some type of meal plan there. Some have 1 dining room, some have an extra grab-and-go bistro. But to me, that's one of the big things you want to check out in an independent living community. So we have a meal plan. So for those people who say, I'm tired of cooking, tired of going to the grocery store, tired of figuring out what I want HEB to deliver to me, or I'm going to pick up curbside, here's your opportunity. And there, like I say, variations on there. But the wonderful thing is the activities and really an opportunity to live a rich life. Wesleyan, like I say, other independent living communities here in our area, the Delaney, Grand Living, actually Truewood by Merrill, out by Sun City. Some of you knew it before as Legacy. It was assisted living, but now Truewood, I was just over there visiting yesterday. It's a great place. They now have independent and assisted and memory care. We're going to talk about some of the different kinds of assisted living. I think, did I get all the independent living? I think I did. Here in the Georgetown area. You go 15 miles away and you open it. Oh, and okay. And we have new ones arriving. Hacienda behind Walgreens going into Sun City will be opening February this year. The Oscar there in Williams will be, and it too, Hacienda has all levels of care, and so does the Oscar. It will be opening, I think, next winter, and both of these are great communities. The neat thing is finding the community that works for you, and they all have their personalities, both by the philosophy of the company, by the people who live there, and so you have to find what works for one person may not work for somebody else. But there are lots of activities and amenities in our senior living communities. Now those are the main ones, but I just want to, in terms of when we're making choices, planning for the future, but I encourage you to also, think about assisted living. To clarify, assisted living is when we need some assistance with the activities of daily living, grooming, mobility, toiletry, and some of the communities have different levels of service. Some you pay a la carte for the specific service. They have 3 meals a day. They have activities too. So, assisted living is often because we've had a change in health and we need more care. And you say, well, that doesn't pertain to me, but it sure is helpful to know about it. So if something were to happen and you needed to take advantage of those resources, you would know. Now, assisted living can be an independent, freestanding community. And so that would be, here in Georgia, that would be Brookdale. I guess, that's our only assisted living right now. Is it that's just plain assisted living? I'm asking Christy. I think it is.
Truewood by,
But they've added the other 2. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It started as assisted living, I mean, yeah, but they've added. So we have assisted living is sometimes part of a community. For instance, many of you are familiar with Wesleyan. They have independent living, they have assisted living. In their case, it's on their campus, but in different buildings. Delaney, there are two, it's all within the same building. Independent living and then assisted living in a different area. Grand Living is our new community open last winter. It's we're seeing this kind of model emerge too, rather than being that's the assisted living wing, this is the independent living wing. The whole building can be assisted living or independent living determined by the resident. And so that opens up a whole interesting concept, and that's really what Truewood has become now too. And we'll get more in depth in these and other seminars, but just to be aware that there are differences in these communities. You have to see what fits you. The other thing we're seeing often is with independent living communities to help people stay there, to age in place in that community. There are often, the community may have available additional services you can use for home care. You can bring in your own, so that we're living in an independent living community, but I need some assistance. And so there's a lot more flexibility, and just because our population is growing so much. But just, I know that's not, I still think it's helpful to plan ahead to know. And then we do have our memory care communities. Those are standalone, such as Bader House. Michelle Wilkinson is from Bader House. They're on Williams Drive. We have others, Tiffin and Sagro and Rocky Hollow. And then we have memory care that may be part of another community. Wesleyan has memory care. The Delaney has memory care. Truewood has memory care. And when they are part of a larger community, it is a secure wing, secure area. And that's, it's people might have, to wander, but thing with memory care communities, yes, you're going to have all your meals and, be provided for. I think if someone was, if you were to be looking at that, planning ahead, or knew someone who needed that type of community, it's really important to look at what they offer. We see a wide range, so what are the residents going to be doing during the day? Are they just, kind of wandering around, or do they have activities? Do they challenge them? So there's a lot of differences, or can be. So I encourage you to think about that in memory care. Then a different, well, not a different type, it's a combination. Continuing care retirement communities. Often we have we may hear the term CCRCs. What a continuing care retirement community is, they will offer all levels of service, including skilled nursing, all the way through. And there's a contractual agreement when you enter into that community. You enter in independent living. If your situation changes and you need to move to assisted, it's there. I know we have a lot of communities with that. The difference with the CCRC is because of the contractual agreement, residents have made a hefty, I want to say, deposit to be part of this. But what you get in return is a guarantee of what you will be paying the rest of your life. So I don't know how much assisted living would be. Say in 10 years I need assisted living. But if I'm in a CCRC, I will be paying my apartment rate that I've started with. Now, to qualify for a CCRC, you qualify physically, you have to have a physical, and you have to qualify financially. Hefty, and I always hate to put out numbers because it varies, but we're talking about perhaps 500,000, 800,000 or more. But don't keel over yet. So this is an agreement then that you know what you're going to be paying the remainder of your life. So for planners and people who have that, financial ability, it's a lot of peace of mind. Not only do you know where you're going to be, you know what you're going to be paying. And when you pass away, there are variations, but in the traditional plan, 90% of what you invested goes back to your estate. So, they're using that money for that period of time. We see variations on this, but in our area, there are no true CCRCs here in Georgetown, but in Austin, we do have Longhorn Village out in Steiner Ranch, and I think they have some variations on that, but that's, giving what the original plan was. We have Westminster down across from Camp Mabry, and we have Corinthia out in Barton Creek. So they're fascinating opportunities, outstanding communities. Yes, there's a cost with it, but I know I worked with, in fact, two couples, a couple and an individual who moved to CCRCs last year, and there were situations where they just wanted to know that they were going to be cared for and what it was going to cost them, and they had planned for that. And so if anybody, we can always share more information about all of these. But there's an overview of what are your options. Someone's going to say, but you can age in place, and yes, you can. We're saving that topic for another seminar. We made the decision to focus on when you want to move to a community. And so those are our general categories, and it's helpful to have accurate information about them. Okay. So we talked about what are your options, and now we're going to be talking about when should you make the move. Okay, I know the common line is, I'm not ready yet. So the question back to you is, when are you ready? Or what constitutes being ready? The secret is, many people say, okay, I'll be ready just before the crisis occurs. The fall, the whatever, And hopefully you make the move before then so you can enjoy the benefits of living in such a community. But as we think about, here are common reasons as we look at literature, and especially as I work with people, about why they did decide to move. Okay, I'm tired of keeping up my house. Yes, I've got people that clean and do the lawn, but I still have to worry about, is it going to be done? When are we going to have the next hailstorm? And I have to replace my roof. I'm tired of it, ready to give it up. Okay, so that's a good reason. Or people say, I am tired of preparing meals. I want this all done for me. Yes, you can have a lot of, I see some people looking at spouses. You got to get on the same page. But, yes, we have a lot of, services to help us with that. But I just love it when people will say, a friend of mine, she was had been a real estate client. I helped her sell and buy a home in Sun City 2 years ago. She called in a couple years ago and said, okay, come meet with me. I'm ready to move. Okay, where are you going? She said, I'm going to, in her case, she was going to the Affinity, a 55 plus apartment in Round Rock. I was kind of surprised because so many of us kind of stay in the area, but that was fine. And I said, well, why, just curious, why you're so determined in that decision? Why? I don't need a meal plan, but I don't want to keep up my house. I just want to go to like a senior apartment. Okay, that was her guide, and I'm ready to go for that. Other times when we realize we're really not using all the amenities in the area we live. A couple I had the privilege of working with last winter, as she would describe, she said, we were very active in Sun City when we moved here. You know, out and about with activities and so on. You know, over the years, 18 years or so, you know, we're not as active. We've had changes in our health. It's, you know, we're not out and about, and we're just ready for something different. In their case, they went to an independent living community, and talking to her a couple weeks ago, best thing ever. She said, now it's so much easier. Instead of having to get in the car and drive, you know, we go down the hall and I can go play bridge, we can go to movies, we can go to happy hours, we can, and on. And she said, it's just brought new life to us. In her case, her husband has more health challenges, and it's easier that way too. So, you know, it's being realistic about when the time is right, or even, do I want to just be proactive and go and enjoy the lifestyle? One of my favorite seminars a few years ago, we've done a couple on Wendell Ready. We have one coming up next month, but the woman that was Barbara Brown, is that right? Christy, I think she lives at the Wesleyan.
Yes.
She's one of these who is so emphatic about we're going while we're in good health. She talked about how her in-laws had made the decision, we're ready to sell our home and go enjoy an independent living community where there are activities and we don't have to worry about meals and housekeeping and so on and so on. And she was just so, and then another person was on that group too. It happened to be the Wesleyan back in the earlier construction phase, which took longer. And they were moving there, and her husband, his health challenges, he had passed away, and she'll say this, I'm not going to go live with those old people. I'm going to go live in an old folks' home. We won't say what her age was, but, you know, somehow when I was not involved with her move, I met her later, I think her daughters were involved, and somehow she made the move. But you know, she didn't want to be with those old people. I think it was a very short time, maybe a couple months. She went back to the person who worked with her in their move in there at the Wesleyan, and she goes, this was the best thing for me, and so involved. And I loved it. Both of these women were working with us on a community project, Vibrant Living, a few years ago. And they would talk about when they were giving tours to people visiting the community, and they would hear, oh no, I'm just not ready for this. And I know they both had a hard time containing themselves. You know, I could just see them. They're very outspoken women. You're about to wait too late, but you know, it's your call. It's interesting. Being proactive, the communities offer us a lot, and so it's something worth considering. Our program next month will be, when is the time? I forgot what the title is, but it will be Senior Move Stories. So we will have 3 seniors who made the transition to senior communities, different reasons, and it's always fun to hear their stories and why they made the decision and words of wisdom they can share with us.
It's how to know when you're ready.
Oh, how to know when you're ready, senior move stories. So, thank you, I need help. Okay, so we got when should you move? Okay, and where should you move? This isn't to the particular community, well, you know, it's not looking at, am I going independent or whatever, but where, what meets your needs, your priorities? It's kind of like Brielle and her family and Nathan thinking about what's important to him. How does he find the best, you know, for his interest in engineering, at the same time band and other things. You know, what's important to you? And thinking clearly before you start visiting communities so you know what is important to you. What kind of activities are important, or what, let me go back. Think of the big picture first. Where in terms of geographically where? You know, COVID made a lot of changes or caused people to make a lot of changes. There were a number of people have been talking about downsizing, but then where am I gonna go? You know, my friends are here, my church is here. I wanna be here in the Georgetown area, but you know, I don't have any family here. My kids are in Indiana or in Ohio, or, you know, I just don't know what to do. It was amazing to see the number of people during COVID, when we were isolated and thinking about their future. You know, I think it's time to go ahead and move where my family is. Now, I know that was COVID, and thank goodness we're not in COVID now, in pandemic now. But I still see how that's made us think about that. So some people who then are saying, okay, and it was very interesting to watch as people then sought out, you know, the opportunities that maybe make family my top priority. For others, it's back, and even within that, then as you look at a particular area, what kind? You want a lot of activities. You know, what is it that you want? What is important to you? If swimming every day is important to you, then you need to find a community with a pool or where they have access to a pool. You know, so what, you got to think through that to set your own priorities. Activities, I know in our downsizing club, we'll be talking in a while about, we had one of our members was sorting through this, and we share a lot of stories, and you know, okay, well, I have a niece in Houston, do I need to be there? That was her closest family. Or I have my medical appointment, doctors are here, and you know, a lot of going back and forth, and in her case, she decided she wanted to stay with, she did have a lot of medical issues. She wanted to be where she already had that set up. So again, it's what's important to you. So I think that is one of our very important discussions about where we're going. And then, why? Why move? Well, if you're going to give up house maintenance and all those things. But when we look at the benefits, and I'm not here to sell these communities, but what I do see, the benefits of being engaged, social activities, I've seen so many times when it gets harder for us to get around, or we become more of a recluse in our home and we don't interact that much. And then to see a person who's made a move to a community where they're out and doing things, their health improves, their energy level improves. So we just know the importance of that. And I think that's really something we always want to consider. And generally in a community where we're going to have better opportunities for fitness. And one way to get your fitness in, we always tell the story, one of the guys had said about someone complaining about the long hallways, and he said, what do you mean? That's our exercise time. My wife's walking has improved so much since we walked the hall to get to meals. So, you know, and also playing beanbag baseball is a big deal with some of the kids. I know you laugh at it, but I understand if you start playing it. You know. But being engaged, having people, we just have to really think how it can affect us. And it is exciting, and I think these would be some good questions for our panelists next month to hear their stories. And what have they gained? What have been the challenges? Yeah, there may be challenges anytime you make a transition. But how can we hopefully make it for the most positive? So we covered those. And now for the elephant in the room. You got it. How? How do I do this? And I think Christy will agree with me on this. I would dare say, Christy, you've had people who said, okay, we're ready to move. And they may even sign their papers. You drive back home. You walk in your house. And what do you see? A lot of stuff. And am I wrong, Christy? We won't get into percentages or anything, and it's not just with the Wesleyan, it's true of all communities. When we talk with the marketing people and all and sales about, oh, I just can't do this. I just can't do it. Forget it. And paralysis can set in. I'm not moving. I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. That is an option. But why give up a neat lifestyle when there are ways that you can downsize? And that's where we need to know there are resources to support you. We've got great move managers, liquidators. We can do this. We happen to have a team of our own that we've put together to help people. But the point being, even if you have not done any downsizing and you decide tomorrow that you're ready to move and your apartment, you're going to be moving in 30 days, say, you know what? We can put a team together, and not a variety of people, but to make this happen for you. And there are others of you who said, well, I might consider this move in a year or two or more, but I know I have a lot of stuff, and I want to start downsizing. I want to start getting rid of the stuff. Yes, it is a challenge, but there are ways to go about that, and that's what we want to help people think about how to make it happen. And so we have for you some resources and opportunities for all of this. You know, one of the first steps is knowing what's out there. For some of you, you've probably visited communities. Others of you really haven't been in there. You just hear the stories about what they're like. And sometimes I would say over here, if I don't visit one of these places, it's the sales pitch. They just tell me all, you know, and I don't want the sales pitch. We are here to help you with that. So we have, and there is a blue sheet, I believe it is, in your handout, called our Community Discovery Tours. What the Discovery Tours will be, and we're so grateful for the communities who have focused on independent living here in Georgetown. And what we've asked the communities to join us and to do this with us. We have a set time and you will visit the community for those of you who would like to. And yes, you can be greeted by their staff. Yes, it is that little blue sheet there. Very good. Thank you. I have seen. But then the secret to the Discovery Tours is the communities have been asked to provide tour guides, ambassadors. So with a small group, you will have a tour guide, a resident of that particular community who will show you around the community. You know, what's their life like there? What's their apartment like? And so you're not just getting the sales pitch. You're hearing true life stories. We did these a few years ago as field trips, and they were really well received, and came the pandemic, and we kind of scaled it down this time. But you will have time to tour these communities with a resident, so you learn more of the, I hope, you know, inside story, and then we'll meet with the staff, and you know, they can share you. We haven't committed to, you do not have to leave your contact information. Now, if they convince you that you want to come live with there, then there'll be opportunities for you to, you know, have them to follow up with you. But I'm excited about the community discovery tours. And you know, when you try something new, there are always things you got to figure out. And so we have 4 set up. There might be some more added, but we have the Delaney. As I said, well, they do have all levels of care, most of them do, but we're focusing on independent living. That tour will be available, but you have to sign up. You have to sign up. I can see Brielle's going to be saying, thank you. Brielle, I did give a spiel about registering for seminars. That's on Wednesday morning, November 2nd. North Star 55, out to visit with Brian and the group at North Star. 55 plus apartments. That will be on Tuesday, November 15th in the afternoon. Grand Living over in University by Academy will be Thursday, November 17th from 10 to 12, and the Wesleyan will be Friday, November 18th. So if you are interested in these, now the catch is they're small numbers, you know, and we may end up repeating some of these if there's enough demand. But we're going to do registration. Okay, I'm going to see if I get this right, Brielle. Brielle has registration papers out per community for you to register. and may not know today, that's fine. Then we're going to do, call in. People can call the office number to register. Anything else you want, and now please understand that, we're having the limited number, just because small groups going in. If we have more to sign up, we'll see about adding some more a little bit later date. Brielle, anything else you want to say about registration for the community tours?
No, just make sure that if you do register, that it's a date you can attend, and if you cannot make it, to let us know in advance. We'll have a wait list. So we'll want to make sure that we're fitting those needs, and if the day of we have 5 people not show, that's 5 people that could have come. So please let us know in advance. There's only 12 openings per community. So check your calendar to make sure before you sign up, and you can either sign up today or call me this week and get registered.
Okay. All right.
Do we find our way to the communities?
We'll follow up with you. So when you sign up, then we will, confirm directions and meeting places, parking places, and all that. Because it's not just like an open house you go on your own. We will be as a group. So we'll follow up with that. Good question. So we have our community discovery tours, and we also have. Okay, we'll get that in just a minute. In your packet, you have questions for especially when you're visiting on your own, for independent living and assisted living. I know there are way too many questions. Please do not go into a community and pull out that sheet and expect the person to answer every question. They will never speak to me again. These questions kept growing because people, you should add this, you should add that. But triggers, things you might want to know about the community. We do not have a separate one for the 55 plus apartments. It would be very similar to the independent living ones, but no, they don't have a meal plan, so don't ask about what the meal plan is. But that's just a resource, something that you could use to trigger getting information, but you tailor make it for you, what's important to you. Okay, Downsizing Smarter Club. A while ago I made mention to people who start the downsizing. Okay, I'm going to be moving in 3 years, but I know I need to start now and get kind of tired of it. What do I do with the stuff? So we started a year ago, May, our Seniors Living Smarter Downsizing Club. We meet the first Thursday of each month, being very ecumenical. We meet over at First Presbyterian. And it's a support group. And for people who, I kind of need, that might kind of keep me going on this. We said, and we share information, but we also do, and we learn a lot from each other. We also hear great stories. And for something, I'm doing better than I thought I was here, But whether your goal is to clean out the bookcase or to reduce the number of books in your bookcase, people set their own goals and work through there. But it's been a big help to people. And in fact, we have some of our downsizing club members here today. They have a navy blue ribbon, homecoming ribbon on. And so if you're in downsizing club, stand up. So if you want to find out more about it, these women are great. Oh, Dave, we do have one man in there, but he's not here today. Your ribbon almost doesn't show up to you. But we really want it to be a resource for people. It can simplify so much. So we do have out on our Seniors Living Smarter services table introducing Seniors Downsizing Smarter Club, and tell us a little bit more about it. I love some of the quotes. Arlene Zimpelman was in the group in the fall, and one day in sharing, she just said, without the downsizing club, I would have felt lost. I wouldn't have known where to begin. She loved the accountability. Brielle is so great at leading us through that. Okay, what's your next step? What are you going to be working on? How did you do on that? And like I said, we hear great stories along the way too. Nathan Smith will be one of our panelists next month and made the comment, meeting with the club helped take away the anxiety. And that's really what we wanted to happen. And then another person read, I realize I need to move while I can still enjoy my life. And that, we're all in different places along this. So I would love to, what we're going to do is I say we meet the first Thursday of each month. There is a $200 fee. We share lots of materials and all. And then when the time is right for you to sell your home, if I had the privilege of being your realtor, we rebate that to you. And so next November's meeting, November 3rd, we're especially having a kind of open house welcome, good time for new people to join us. It's come and go. I mean, in terms of, it's not for a year or whatever. We had people, we just started last May, we had people graduate, meaning they moved on and made their big move. So anyway, but that's a resource. Visit with me or other downsizing club members. Michelle.
I was just going to say it's a great gift to your children to be a part of that club.
There you go. and I'm so glad you mentioned it, because all of what we've talked about, the more prepared you are, and involve your children, adult children. Yeah, Debbie and I were talking about, as we work with people, I think it was anyway, about, sometimes we had wonderful families that are just great assets to working. Sometimes we have to remind the senior, it is your decision, you are in control, you do, so, but this downsizing club kind of gives you that, I can do it. When I was meeting with the family last, almost a year ago now, I guess November, and they'd been referred to me from a community in Round Rock, actually, and I was outlining what we could provide, and the mother was there, and she was worried about what she was going to do with all this stuff. Compared to a lot of people, she had very little stuff, but nevertheless, that was her concern. And her son was there, and as we went through all that we could do to coordinate the move, to get rid of do the liquidation, get the property ready as appropriate for the property, and the son said, now, you can coordinate, you can provide these services. Yes. Okay, sounds good to me, Mom. I'm out of here. It can be peace of mind to the family as well. Okay, so a little bit about that. Ask for more information. And let's go ahead now and open it up for questions from the floor. If you have a question.
One quick thing. In your handouts, you've got a yellow sheet.
Oh, yes.
If you would like to join us as a guest for club next month, make sure that you check that on your feedback, the yellow feedback form, and turn that in. And then we'll send you all the information with the club time and location and all that. So if you'd like to join us next month for Downsizing Club as a guest, turn in your yellow form and make sure your name is on it.
Okay, so now, questions. Do we have questions? Don.
Talking about the visiting angels, and like she said, Connie used it when engaged down when she went to France for 10 days. So it was 1 hour a day for a short period of time. It wasn't an extended period of time. I think she did that to make sure I stayed out of trouble for using hours.
Hey, now there's a good, for some of you, and why, I know some couples where one wants to travel and one does not. So there's a new check-in idea. Hey, Stacy, that's a marketing idea for you. You want to check on your spouse while you're traveling, make sure he's accounted for at least an hour a day. That's a good one. That's a good one. Leaving these guys by themselves. Okay, thanks, Don. All right, if you didn't hear what he was saying, his wife went to France for a week, and so she and the angels come in and check on that. So, okay, all right. Other questions people have? We either answer them all, or have you so confused you don't know what to ask. Any questions? Wow. Well, this is good. Because this would give you more time to visit with our educational partners, to sign up. Brielle's at the table where she has up the sign-up sheets for the Community Discovery Tour. Our visit with our downsizing club members, one more first-hand story from Downsizing Club. And then we will, let's see, Jeff, what's our next slide? We have about the, okay, as we mentioned earlier, how to know when you're ready. That will be November 10th. That will be our last seminar for 2022. We do not do a seminar in December, but we'll start again in January. And as I said, we'll have 3 seniors here to share their stories. And so we hope to see you then, if we don't see you before at the Downsizing Club, or on Community Discovery. Yeah, they will just be starting then, because they're mainly in November. But I want to thank you all very much for being here today. Thank Jeff and Brielle for their support. Thank our educational partners, Downsizing Club members for sharing their stories. So we'll see you at some point. Thank you for being here.